what brought me to this side of the world, I knew after taking about a 2-year sabbatical from my career in marketing, tech, economic development, merging those really high performing industries, very just high stress environments. I took a 2-year sabbatical and I knew that I wanted to get back to work at some point. I just knew I didn't want to do it the way that I had been doing it. I wanted to be on the continent of Africa, and I wanted to be in an international metropolitan city that gave me some of the comforts and familiarities that I knew from being, living in the US all my life. But I also wanted to be surrounded by culture in a country that fosters and still has a very, very strong amount of culture enriched into the daily practice. Hello, I'm Ashley. I have a channel here called Ashley in Africa. I share my experience of living and doing business on the continent. I currently live in Cape Town, South Africa, after being in Johannesburg, South Africa for about 2.5 years. My first impressions of South Africa when I first arrived was, wow, this is Africa. I had been in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, for about 10 months at the time. And I took a holiday to Johannesburg, South Africa, which I love. And it reminded me so much of different major cities back in the US. But there was still this African experience that I was having with people speaking their language and the vernac and the music. And it felt immediately like home. Like as soon as I got to Johannesburg, I was like sold. And I got to experience Durban as well. I love the water. I love the coast, the greenery, it was just a beautiful country that I had experienced. I think at that time was maybe 3 weeks I was here, and I was blown away. I was blown away by the infrastructure. I was blown away by the warmness of the people. I was blown away by the real estate and the luxury that I was experiencing. I, am a lady of luxury in certain ways, and some things that don't feel like luxuries are to me, but I loved that South Africa offers all of it and more, and things that you couldn't even imagine that you needed in your life. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful country. It is a beautiful country, and it's had my heart ever since. I left the US for many reasons. I was doing a lot of research when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter on maternal rights, maternal health care. And I learned then, this was back in maybe 2017, the disparities of being a pregnant woman, a pregnant Black woman in my country meant that you were 5 times more likely to die during childbirth. And it was one of the highest maternal mortality rates for any developing nation. So that was my initial alarm, was in 2017. I started seeking what life could look like abroad. But my experience was that, this is only for people that are in the military, are in government roles, or maybe they work for international corporation and they get moved abroad. I had no concept of it being something I could actually do. And Africa was honestly never on my radar. Consciously, subconsciously, I had a beautiful image of Cape Town, Camps Bay on my vision board that I had done maybe 10 years ago now. So subconsciously, Africa was always on my mind and in my soul, but I didn't know at the time. But when I did finally decide to leave the US, I was absolutely seeking reconnection with myself in an environment where I just felt safe. And when I made that decision, within about 6 months, it was also during the time where the world had stopped, 2020, and people didn't know what life was going to look like after that experience. And so I felt like, why not now? If I don't do it now, when will I have the opportunity to do it? My girls were home from school, work, I had been laid off, and I had invested in some tools to be able to live abroad or to do whatever I needed to do. And I decided to explore. I decided to tap into the desires that I had, the values that I had pushed away, to do all of the right things, check all of the right boxes. And I was running from the chaos that I had created. But really, I was subconsciously seeking out a better connection with the creator and also myself. And I got way more than I ever bargained for in making that decision. So my monthly expenses here in Cape Town, South Africa are moderately low, depending on who you're comparing it to. Comparing it to the US, I spend about 40% less than I would spend for a comparable lifestyle in the US. Rents have gone up in Cape Town 30% since last year. So my most expensive expense is housing, which my rent is 32,000 Rand for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in the upper suburbs, northern suburbs of Cape Town, South Africa. The next expense for food, I budget about 6,000 Rand per month. Most of my groceries I deliver. So half of them come from a local grocery store. The other half come from a local farmers co-op where I'm able to receive fresh vegetables and fruits that are in season every 5 to 7 days. Depending on the season and my travel schedule. So about 6,000 Rand per month for food. Transportation, I budget about 6,000 Rand per month as well. Most of my travel is with, coming to our office here in the VA waterfront, or heading out with friends at night. I walk a lot in my neighborhood to nearby restaurants and even my gym. So my travel expenses are pretty low. However, I always bank 6,000 Rand per month. For childcare, my daughter my youngest daughter is homeschooled. My oldest daughter is in boarding school. So collectively for education for them, it is about 20,000 Rand per month. And then with actually maybe about 23,000 Rand because my youngest is also enrolled in some performing arts programs that are about 3,000 Rand per month, where she every day is doing gymnastics, ballet, piano, drama, or vocal lessons Monday through Friday. So for education and, extracurricular, that's about 23,000 Rand per month. For a house support team, full-time house helper, we have a live-in house helper, house manager who does everything from grocery planning to meal prep, as well as cleaning and linen and laundry. Her fees are about 6,000 Rand per month. She's live-in, so I cover her expenses as well as her food, her board, and budget for kind of 2 to 3 times her salary for the month of December. So for my South Africans and even abroad, you also know like December is a bigger expense because of the bonuses that you're paying out, especially if you have a team. The next expense, entertainment. So I budget about 10,000 Rand per month for entertainment and self-care. So that's hands, that's facials, that's nails, hair, massages, spa, going to things like that, about 10,000 Rand, as well as going out for dinners and things with friends. And then healthcare. So I currently still have my US healthcare, but for most things, I pay out of pocket because I would need to be reimbursed anyway. It's an international plan, but everything is so much more affordable that the time and energy of reimbursement just isn't really necessary. I do that at the end, typically at the end of the year. So I don't have a lot of health issues. So I don't spend a lot on healthcare, but I will kind of put in my fitness in there because that is preventative care. And that's anywhere from about 4 to 5,000 Rand per month at a gym and working with a fitness trainer. And I think that's about it. Oh no, utilities. So everything from electricity to house management with the pool and Wi-Fi. That's about another 3,000 to 3 to 5,000 Rand per month. Ooh, the strawberries are on sale. 7 Rand off. It doesn't say how much they are. $62.99. Woolies is quite expensive, but they have some of the best produce. So chicken wings, my daughter loves wings and legs. We'll do, this is for 220 Rand, $12. And lamb, this isn't something we eat a lot of. Lamb chops is something we eat a lot of in the States, but it's our lamb chops bulk. This is also 239 Rand, which is $13. This one is $20, 19.99, $1. Some lettuce, 26 Rand. Actually, I'm gonna get this iceberg. 22 Rand's like $1.15. And then a couple of cucumbers. These are 20 Rand, so also $1 each. So we just finished our shopping at Woolworths. For this full bag, we got a lot of produce, fresh produce. So you can see the receipt here. Everything came up to about 1,057 Rand. That's a little over $60. Or actually not even, it's almost $60, about $57.75. This would easily cost about 120 bucks in a similar grocery store, maybe like a Whole Foods is more of the style of shopping that you're getting when you go to Woolies. So I usually order my groceries, but if I'm out and I'm close to a Woolies and I need some produce, I always pick Woolies for produce. Every day is very different, but I'd say typical day, waking up pretty slowly, around 7 a.m. And getting ready for the day. So we typically check emails and WhatsApps in the morning. I'm not great yet with like putting my phone away early in the morning, but what I love about being in Cape Town, I walk through the neighborhood. So I live really close to the ocean in the northern suburb of Cape Town, and walks for about 30 minutes is really nice. I can even walk to a nearby coffee shop and come back home, have breakfast with my daughter before her homeschool lesson. She does some homeschooling from about 9 a.m. to 12. We now have a team of people that support her with that.